Yo, I'm here with John, and we're going to talk about flexibility. And the reason why we're making this video is uh, basically, I've talked to 1,000 or so mountain bikers, and pretty much everyone's like, I know I need to be more flexible, but I am not. Like, I don't do it. I'd say like 5%, 10% of riders maybe they know it's important and they do something about it. And the majority of riders, though, they're like, no, they need to be more flexible. But we're talking about what is flexibility, and like John's going to share his deep insight. So for those of you that don't know John, he's my co-founder of Mountain Bike Academy, and most importantly, uh, he is a movement coach. And I always mix up your master's and your bachelor's. One is in exercise science, and one is in sports medicine.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay, did I get the order right?
Yeah, master's in exercise science and a master's of science in sports medicine.
Okay. I'll get it right one of these days. But either way, you can listen to him because he's got the legit side there, plus the experience of coaching a whole ton of athletes that are like middle age and above. So, I don't know, you want to start with your story about like your own flexibility and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 35 now. Used to been a personal trainer since I was about 20. And when I first got into the field, was super inflexible. Graduated, as David said, graduated with a bachelor's in exercise science. Went to grad school to just kind of learn more about fitness. I knew I wanted to do something in fitness, wasn't sure what it was. Continued to personal train through grad school, and it was at some point near the end of grad school where I just kind of had a look in the mirror moment, and I was like, movement, my mobility, flexibility, it sucks. I can't touch my toes. I can't squat past 90 degrees. If I do a hard leg session, I've got back pain for 2, 3 days afterwards. Nothing crazy, but enough to know trouble is on the way. And yeah, just I was probably 23, probably 24, 25 at that time, and just kind of started going down a rabbit hole of what are good protocols for actually making change. I dabbled with stretching in undergrad and just probably could have made some progress, but just wasn't consistent enough with the practice. Um, and yeah, just got really deep into it. Probably spent a good 6 to 8 years where it was a huge part of my physical practice. I prioritized the mobility work, not the strength work. Like it was, I prioritized those mobility sessions over everything. So, yeah, less into it now just because you can only really take it so far. But now, yep, I coach people on how to be more mobile, incorporate it into their physical practice, whether they're CrossFitters, mountain bikers, average Joes, just trying to move better. Mobility is for everybody. I think of mobility equals more ability. If you've got better mobility in your body, you're going to just be able to move better. And who doesn't want that, regardless of what you like to do? Fun.
Yeah. Mobility. I like that.
Yeah,
What was
easy.
your, so you couldn't touch your toes. I don't know if y'all can hear that. We have 3 acres and there's a donkey just hee-hawing over there. Um, so you said you couldn't like touch your toes. What is like the most flexible thing you can do now?
I mean, I can do the splits. I can do front splits and middle splits. I'm not at my peak flexibility now because I've just taken a step back from it. It's not a huge priority, but I still have front splits. So where one leg's in front, the other leg's in the back. I can do that. I can probably do that cold. Um, Back bridges are very easy for me. Just, reaching the hands back, being in that U-shaped position with your body. Those are probably the most aesthetically
Yeah.
cool things. Yeah, I would say those splits and back bridges.
Splits and back bridge. I've seen you do the back bridges. One that I like to watch you do, I don't know if you do them much anymore. It's where you're like, I think you're in like a where one leg is next to you and your knee is up and the other leg is stretched out really far, and then you just reach over and you grab your
Oh,
foot.
yeah,
I don't know what those are
that's
called.
a Cossack squat to QL stretch. Here, the the lower body position is a Cossack squat, and then
Yeah.
that reach stretches out the QL, that muscle that attaches on the bottom of the rib cage.
Yeah, that's a funny one.
Yeah,
I'll
that's some
probably, yeah,
coach.
that's like I'm hilariously not good at that one. Which
There's
it's like
there's a
whatever.
lot going on there. So
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. So I'll probably do a video about that one specifically. I do have a training in our program about why the QL gets really tight. But anyways, man. So that being said, so you know a lot about flexibility. What would you like? I don't know. What's the main question that you answer for people who are looking to get into more flexibility? And like, what's the thing that they need to actually do to get a result in the next 30 to 60 days?
Well, I think it's, a lot of people come to me because they want to move better and they think I need better flexibility. Um, and the lines get blurred here quite a bit, but I always like to say we're training mobility, not flexibility. And to me, the difference is mobility is usable range of motion, flexibility is passive range of motion. So an easy example, if you're listening to this, is stand up real quick and take one hand and pull your knee in as tight to your chest as you can. That's flexibility. Now do that under your own muscular control. Just raise your knee up as high as you can. That's mobility. So that's an easy example of that's active usable range of motion that you have the muscular control to perform that range of motion. And that's what most people really want when they say I need to be more flexible so they can move better at X, they can be less injury prone at Y, whatever it is. So um a lot of people that come to me with flexibility experience, like they've done yoga for forever, incorporating just a few techniques where you're active in these positions, it's a huge breakthrough. I wouldn't say immediately, but within a couple of weeks, they're like, "Wow, I've had more progress in the past 4 weeks than I've had in the past year." Like it's little subtle things about just turning on muscles in these stretch positions or moving through the full range, whatever it is. So, um, you said, where should someone start? I would say don't overwhelm yourself. Figure out what your trouble area is and pick maybe two or three things that are going to target those trouble areas and do them at least every other day. Spend maybe a total of 15 minutes. The biggest thing for me with mobility work is it's quality over quantity. It's performing the drills to your best ability, um, not just trying to get extra reps in for the sake of getting extra reps in. One awesome rep is better than three reps any day of the week. So, don't know. Biggest tip would be pick a few things are going to target troubled areas, and do them every other day. And don't overwhelm yourself. Think about quality first, and then layer on quantity as you feel like you have the time.
Yeah, and I'll speak to that too. What I've noticed with mountain bike breakthrough with people who are coming in and working with us, it's that quality thing. I'm sure it has a big impact on yoga if you're going to do yoga, but what I've noticed is that people who slow down and pay attention to what their body's doing and like you said, activating the muscles, they get a big bonus with their riding results because mountain biking is so much about being aware of what your body's doing. And a lot of riders are not. So it's very important to incorporate that. So tell me some more about what do you think about you said mobility and like what it is and how to get to it. What are some common um, what are some common areas of challenges that you see with like maybe mountain bikers or people that do cycling?
Well, I like what you said. That was headed in the right direction. Where you get on a bike and it's like, oh, cool, yeah, I just press my foot into the pedal and like go. But there's so many from small to large muscles that are involved in that movement and doing it efficiently. And depending on where your seat is, how tall are you, whatever. I mean, your knee, ankle, and hip go through some decent ranges of motion. And if you don't have control off the bike of those ranges of motion, chances are, at the very least, you're not going to be as efficient as you could be. Worst case, you're probably overtaxing one joint, and so eventually you're going to get injured because of that. So,
Yeah.
breaking down just the lower body here, breaking down knee, hip, and ankle, and just making sure you got solid mobility that you need for pedaling a bike. Doing a couple things where you activate muscles in end range. You actively move the muscles through full ranges of motion. Um, at the very least, that's going to make you a more efficient rider because you're going to tap into the full muscle potential during rides. Yeah, and I think a big thing with mountain bikers and bikers in general is with the hips. The hip and pelvis tend to like if you don't explore movement in the hip and the pelvis really just I wouldn't say they get fused together, but it gets pretty close to this. It's tough for people to disassociate hip from pelvis. So maybe they go into knee flexion for pedaling, and that hip just takes the pelvis along with it. Well, the pelvis then takes the low back with it. So this hip, pelvis, low back kind of area, what it does is lacking that hip movement, you're just kind of cranky on the low back subtly, cranky on the low back subtly, cranky on it subtly, and the low back doesn't have great movement potential. It's supposed to be a stabilizing area of the body. So if your hip's lacking mobility, chances are your low back is going to take the brunt of it. So I'm sure that's a troubled area for most bikers at some point in your career with biking. You've had some low back pain. Ensuring your hips are mobile is going to probably reduce the likelihood of the low back being screwed up.
I like it. Yeah, that's something that when a rider opens the hips and can move them independent of the torso, everything cascades in a positive direction from there. So I've seen people specifically train their lower back and their kind of like the lower core areas, if you will, to kind of do their thing the right way and let everything else move around it, especially specifically the knees and the hips. And when I watch that, it's like a thing of beauty with things specifically like cornering is a huge one
Oh,
because yeah, like cornering is it's not that hard if you can move. It's impossible if you can't move. Like you actually can't corner a mountain bike if you don't
yeah.
have like you can't do it. I've had people where we've had them do things like try the 90-90 switches and they can't, or they can't do a horse stance hold. If they can't do a horse stance hold, they can't do the correct form on cornering no matter what. Like it's like I'm screaming it from the rooftops as much as possible. And people are like, oh, why is cornering so hard? I did my elbow this way and my hip and I pointed my knees. And it's like it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the fact that you literally can't support your torso with your core. And so therefore your stabilizer muscles are doing the work of that. So again, I'm the non-body expert, just noticing what you're saying here and like really encouraging people to think about that. This channel is about, being an athlete so that we can be a mountain biker for the next 20, 30, 40 years. So
Yeah,
move.
something like something like cornering is even, I mean, that's now really, really full body. And if you're lacking mobility in your shoulder
Hmm.
and lacking mobility anywhere in the thoracic spine, the 12 vertebrae above the low back have great movement potential.
Hmm.
If you're lacking anywhere in the lower body, the thoracic spine or shoulder, and you're trying to manipulate your body in this way, it's not going to be as fluid. You might not be able to execute as smoothly. The more movement capability you have in all these joints, the more smoothly you're going to be able to ride a bike. And when you get into more technical, body demanding positions like cornering, that's where you really see it. Like, yeah, you watch some guys who are amazing, like their bodies just look so fluid. It's definitely because they've done the repetition, but it's also their bodies got that mobility, and it could be because they spent time off the bike doing it, or it could be they've just been biking so damn long that just a product of doing the freaking sport, they've built that mobility. Because that happens too. Not everyone needs
Yeah.
a ton of work off the bike, but
Yeah.
uh,
That's where a lot of, there's a massive difference between a professional athlete and an athlete like me who like I'm a dad, I have 3 acres, 2 kids, one wife. It's like I'm not training like an athlete. Even when I was riding a lot in college, I wasn't training like an athlete to be a professional mountain biker. I was, going to school and sitting down 6, 8 hours a day. And if you don't train like a pro, you have to train very differently to get that mobility back. And I found that with people that like the encouraging thing about what we do, I'm not trying to like sell it here, but it's like what we do, it's very encouraging to see people very quickly get it. So like if you're very far away from this, just doing a little bit of the work means a whole lot, in other words. So it's, don't give up if you're like, yeah, man, I've had all these injuries, I'm old, man, I've been sitting at a desk for 40 years. What if I'm hopeless? It's like, okay, well, if I wasn't hopeless, you guys are not. I couldn't pick up my right arm past here just because I had like fusions between the fascia in my shoulders. My neck, I still have issues with my neck. I think I have a pinched nerve, but aside from that, I went from not being able to move at all, and I had like some locked muscles and a limp at like 27 years old to, being able to move pretty free range of motion. So, if you're thinking, gosh, I'm too old, I've sat at a desk for too many years, or I'm too beat up, I do think it's possible just from what I've seen. So keep your chin up.
Yeah, and if you are in that, if you are kind of the person David just described, the best thing you can do when you do mobility work is what I said earlier. Don't overwhelm yourself, but have crazy attention to detail, because you need to, not only do you need to recreate good range of motion, you also need to really upregulate your body mind connection. You need to really think through these movements and think, okay, I'm moving my hip out to the side. Like, don't just do the movement, really, really think about it. The body and mind are so interconnected, and you make way more progress when it comes to mobility and, skill acquisition in general when you really think through the process and, just think about what you're doing.
Thanks everyone for listening in. We'll catch you on the next one. Appreciate you.